Good morning. This is Susan of the North, also known as Susan Hintz-Epstein, with the Rune of the Day weekly overview from September 29th, Sunday, to October 5th, a Saturday. Today I'm using the Elder Futhark simple runes that I have simply painted on stones I found on hikes and in the field. The first rune I'm drawing today is Othila. Othila has a rich tapestry of meaning. It means home. It means real estate, land. It could be the land you grew up on. It could be the land of your country. But its larger meaning in that context is that Earth is home for all of us. So we need to look at the ascending orders of meaning from the land upon which I'm standing, in the house where I dwell, to the ancestors who gave me, through their genetic material, the data for this body that houses my spirit, all the way up through country, all the way up through earth. I want to speak to this a bit today because there are so many conflicts going on within the human collective. And to find healing, we really have to bring it back to ourself. There cannot be peace in the world unless there's peace in me, in you. And we can hold on to the higher emotions of love, joy, acceptance, gratitude, all of those things which contribute to our aliveness. I can speaking this way today because I've had a week that has been largely soul deadening in my work that I do in the outside world. And I've come to the conclusion that the only way I can rise above that is to hold within myself a sense of aliveness, of beingness, of presence, of being in the moment, of detaching emotionally from anything that doesn't serve my well being. It doesn't mean I don't care. It just means that I'm not going to expend myself beyond my capacity to feel that I have a place in the world, that I have meaning in the world, that I can contribute to something larger than myself. So, this is the twist I'm giving Othila today. If it comes up for you in physical ways, it could relate to your dwelling. It could relate to a contract, a real estate contract. It could relate to the land you work with. If you are a person who honors the land and respects the land, as I strive to do, as our faraway indigenous European ancestors tried to do before we got stumpified by the conflicting beliefs within Christianity, then that could apply for you as well. So I think I've given you a bit to think about, and I can't write a 400-page novel in this one podcast. So the rune for Sunday is Othila, and it is upright and it is a beneficial outcome, whatever its interpretation for you. The rune for Monday, the 30th of September. Oh my, this is Hagalaj. Hagalaj is a rune of sudden change. Sometimes this sudden change comes about by a destruction. And if I continue with the theme I began of Othila for yesterday, there is a lot going on within the human collective at this time where we are being challenged. Sometimes our beliefs are being destroyed. Sometimes the way of life that we knew and valued is being destroyed. Often we need our comfort zone destroyed in order to rise up. We are here, I firmly believe, to perfect our spirit in the sense of being, to be here now. This is the way of the sage, the way of the saint, the way of those who are consciously evolving their souls. So that said, something may be being destroyed, but the destruction always leaves a seed for a new creation. When I go within myself and I confront the challenges of the day to day, I often find a submersed belief that is inhibiting me and holding me back from a full, complete experience of joy in the present moment. So I can choose to change my thoughts, to change my habits toward the person I'm becoming, the person I want to be being, actively now being, so as to not be so affected by this. So I alluded to yesterday that last week was largely a soul deadening experience in the world away from home. And what I can do in those moments is carry my presence. I might not be at my best. I might not be at my most intelligent. I might not be at my most witty, but I can say with some truth, I am. And on the breath, I can draw a calmness and release any tension in the moment into the earth, which welcomes it. So there's another method that I've just shared for coping with high levels of tension and stress. Take a deep breath, say to yourself, I am, and be present in the moment you're in. And that's all any of us can ultimately do between our birth and our death. For Tuesday, this rune is a big improvement on yesterday's. This is the rune of knowledge. Knowledge gives us the wisdom to cope with situations as they arise. Knowledge deals with craft. And ultimately, if we are all, each of us here, to grow our souls, there is, and this is unique to all of us, isn't it? Because all of us are one of a kind. Growing our souls and our spirit is the path of independent individuation. It means we don't rely upon anybody else. We don't need to seek to please other people. We don't need to grovel or get a brown nose to stay in our own truth, to hold our own authenticity. What I was going to say is the rune of education, of knowledge. Only you can earn a degree in what it means to fully be yourself. What does it mean to be fully enlivened as yourself? I know some groups I'm talking to or some archetypes I'm talking to. The mother will not lay down her motherhood for the sake of individuation. She's still going to be very much there for her children. But what does that mean to you to be a mother? You know, take your life experience, allow it to enliven you fully. If there's pain, step into it and understand why. If there's joy, step into it and allow and just accept it. You are worthy of joy and love and respect. You very much are. This rune today is getting the degree of yourself, how to be yourself in these troublesome times and energies. It's not about hating people who don't believe the same way you do politically. It's about not hating. It's about rising above hatred. What is there, if you find yourself hating, that you fear? It's about the journey within toward love and rising up, or toward fear, and what is it we're trying to protect ourselves from? That's the rune for Tuesday, October 1st. And as you see me look away from the camera a little bit, I'm recording these runes for my own experience because I do find that they hold true in the day. If you catch this, I know they're not true for everybody's experience, but if this interests you, they're probably true for you as well. They have some validity. The rune for Wednesday, October 2nd, this is Tyr. Tyr is the oldest of the gods. He was worshipped way back in prehistoric times. I'm listening to a audio book on Göbekli Tepe, and I'm enjoying finding references to this oldest of the gods in the things that I'm learning from this book. Tyr lived in the North Star, the pole star. It was the direction star. It was the night star that people followed when they needed to navigate their way through life, through the wilderness, through whatever was going on with them at the time. So Tyr speaks to finding your own true north, to finding your own unique individuation. What is it that you were born to do? What is it that you like doing? To be of service, we can still do what we like doing. This is a belief that I'm breaking, even as I struggle with my daily life to bring these runes to you. And I love doing this because it gives me a chance to offer hope and inspiration. So Tyr is the North Star. So this Wednesday, Odin's Day, I'm asking you to ask yourself, what is it that leads to your true north? On Thursday, October 3rd, drawing the rune Awaj, and he's coming up reversed. This is the rune of movement. This is the rune of the emotional bond between a horse and rider, and by extension to people and their animals. It's an emotional rune. When it's reversed, it still has movement, but the movement is slowed down a bit. So, whatever it is you have been going through this week, today there will be a slowing down of that pace. Maybe it's a good day for you to slow down and just be. Practice your being. Pay attention to your breath. And just allow yourself to be present in the moment, no matter what is happening. Because by being present, you are still maintaining forward movement. You're just slowing down the anxiety, the craziness, the stress of it all. And for Friday, here's another one that's coming up reversed. This is Rido. Rido is about the journey. When Rido shows up reversed, it can mean a reversal in health. Maybe you or someone you know has been overstressed to the point of illness. This is about, sometimes I get quiet when I do these things, and it's not just old lady memory loss. I like to be an old lady, don't get me wrong. But Rido, in its upright, is about the natural rhythm and the natural law and right action and right thought and being in right synchronicity with the universe. Something may be happening today that's taking you out of synchronicity with your life flow, your life path. It could be illness, it could be a trip to the hospital, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. That's just one of the interpretations that falls upon this rune when it's reversed. Something may be blocking your journey forward. We talked yesterday about how Awaz reversed is a slowing down of the process. Sometimes what blocks our journey forward is simply our lack of awareness of our own emotional state. Sometimes the deadness we find in the world around us, instead of the aliveness, the quickening of joy and all of that. In the world around us, we see political wars, we see people at war, we see every issue of illness, and I use the word illness in the sense of disease, of people against people. We have advocates of the war in Gaza. We have protesters of Palestine. We have other people who are deep thinkers who deplore the suffering on both sides, and it's just one issue. We talk about race. We talk about people of color, black, red, white, yellow, whatever has been, all of the sins against humanity are being made apparent in this day and age. What stance are we going to take on that? How do we feel about it? What side of the fence do we fall on? Sometimes these runes propose more questions than answers, but always I find the journey to be more introspective, to be more taking off the layers of conditioning so that we can ask ourselves how we really feel, how we really want to take a stand on something that is so valuable, however this rune shows up for you today. This is Rido in reversal. And the final rune for Saturday, the 5th of October. This one's interesting. Where Rouge came up on its side. So, and I understand that as I'm doing these readings, they're reaching my audience, however many people there are out there. A Rouge upright is the rune of strength, rebirth, new beginnings, sort of a muscular approach to health, willpower, all that refers to. When it's reversed, and it's interesting because it came up reversed last Saturday also, it's a rune of weakness, of you're not strong in some way. Perhaps, like for me, the work week that you've been through has just been draining and deadening. And when it comes up on its side, it, I interpret it, the meaning, it could go either way. How are you dealing with the stress of life right now? Are you dealing with the stress of life right now? Or are you deadening yourself to being aware of anything? Because that is simply one way of coping. Now, there is an exercise one can do. One can become like the great tree of life, Yggdrasil. One can become rooted in the body. There are chakras, worlds in the body that do not deal with stress so terribly as does our intellect. And we can give our intellect a rest from all of the stress engendered by our thoughts and our reactions to what's going on outside of us by rooting ourselves into activities and periods of rest that do not involve the intellect. One could sit in one's meditation chair and follow the breath until the mind is quiet. One could move on one's feet, taking a walk, getting the garden ready for next year, raking up the leaves, finding some kind of labor that doesn't relate to any of the stress that's poking at you. It's a mini vacation from stress. I know most of us have to go back to work, and it's not always work that we enjoy, it's work that pays for life. But there is gratitude in that when we have a job that meets the bills. I've been on both sides of that issue, employed and unemployed. And I would rather have this job that I have, as stressful as it is, than the stress of not being able to pay for life. So there's always two sides to every issue, a balance to be weighed, and finding appreciation for what we have. When the drama going on around us is greater than we can cope with, it is so important to learn how we can find rest in the moment we're in. We don't always have to be doing. We do not always have to be busy. Forget for even 1 minute, up to 5 minutes, if you can get that much out of your workday, to not let what the supervisor said, to not let what your coworker said, to not let the election news you saw online or on Instagram or on TikTok affect you. You need to find your center. We are at a period in history, I guess. I mean, I don't necessarily like to form those dynamics, but we're at a period where there's a lot coming at us, and we are asked to stand on our foundation. And our foundation, again, going back to Othila, can be as simple as the land we stand on, the home we create for ourselves, our center of peace and quiet and calm. The great medicine man of the Lakota, Nicholas Black Elk, I read a quote by him one time as saying, "The center of the world is where you are. You are a unique perceiver of life and the events around you. The world where you are, where you stand. This is your bit of earth. This is your foundation place. Can you fill it with peace and calm despite everything that's going on. How can you do that for yourself? I have mentioned a few ways. Getting physically active takes the focus off the intellect and the worry and grounds it in the body. We can breathe. We can take 5 minutes to just breathe, pull our thoughts back away from all the stuff going on. Think about it. You are a being created in the universe, no less than the trees and the stars, and you have a right to be here. And that which I just said is sort of a rephrased quote from the poem Desiderata, which is another bit of inspiration I keep around me. Know your own nobility, own your own nobility, own your own worth, own your value. Know that there are people who would be poorer for the lack of you in their lives. And so, with all of that said, this is the weekly overview for the rune of the day from September 29th to October 5th. If you are interested in the runes as a pathway to spiritual awakening, I have written a book called Rune Play by Susan Hintz-Epstein. The subtitle is Tools for Spiritual Evolution and Transformation. I have put the meanings of each rune in here as I have experienced them and asked questions that I hope will be pertinent to your own path of evolving. This book teaches you how to make your own runes and how to make the runes a greater part of your daily life. If this calls you, check it out. It's for sale in either Kindle version or paperback at Amazon. Just dial up Rune Play or Susan Hintz-Epstein and see what arises for you. I also have, aside from this podcast on YouTube, which you can get to through runeoftheday.com, I also have a blog called runeclasses.com and nornerscorner.com. It's all still a work in progress. I'm having a bit of a learning curve with some of it, but I keep plugging away, and that's all we can really do, isn't it, in life? So I wish you all a blessed week ahead, and I hope that this service I provide is of benefit to you.